Hello and welcome to TLC Time, Thriving Leader Collaborative. That's you. Hopefully you are a thriving leader and hopefully we can collaborate. It's our mission to share resources, and I want to talk to you about a particular resource related to mission, vision, and values. I had the opportunity recently to coach and speak to some healthcare leaders and help them tie specifically some of the evidence-based practices that that the leaders are asking their teams to do and to do consistently. And when we first started the conversation, they'd say, well, we employ these evidence-based practices, and yet people don't do them consistently. And let's talk about that. My very first question was, what's the degree to which, when you rolled out these practices, when you asked people to do them, when you follow up and validate the degree to which they're doing them, what's the degree to which you as the leader have absolutely intentionally connected the doing of this practice? So in healthcare, it might be bedside shift report, let's say, or hourly rounding. What's the degree to which you've connected the individual and the doing of this practice to at least one or more of your values and the mission of the organization? So for example, if I'm a nurse and someone's asking me to do hourly rounding consistently, I'm much more inclined to do that when I understand the direct connection to one or more of our values and the mission of the organization. So seems simple. The value of being in service to others, the value of safety and keeping our patients safe. And so when someone's asking me to do this thing and they're very intentional about helping me understand how the doing of this practice enables us to uphold our values and therefore ultimately meet our mission and our vision, our long-term goals. Doesn't have to be just in healthcare. So when you think about what you're asking the frontline contributors to do on a daily basis, helping them find that connection. And so when I say help them find that connection, oftentimes leaders think, okay, so I'll connect the dots for them. I believe as the leader, you're responsible for helping connect the dots, but not doing it for them. So in other words, you've heard me say this before, I bet, ask more, tell less. So for the healthcare partners that I have, I devised a worksheet that you can download on the website, thrivingleadercollaborative.com. And the worksheet is an exercise to engage with your team. So this is healthcare specific. So down the first column are all the evidence-based practices. And the next column is empty, but it's the title of it is inviting the individuals to choose the value of the organization that this practice connects to. And then the third column is, and how does doing this align with the mission and or vision of the organization? The idea behind that is, not that you hand somebody this worksheet, but that you engage in a team effort and maybe even a discussion. You could do one of these practices per huddle or per department meeting. You could invite the entire team, split up into how many ever practices you have. Let's say you have 6, split up into 6 teams, and invite the individuals to do the work in making that connection and ask them meaningful questions about the work that they do and how they feel tied to a value or the overall mission. Doesn't have to be healthcare. So the sample that you're going to get online is the evidence-based practices in healthcare. But if you're not in healthcare, I invite you to consider, what are the things that you ask your team to do consistently, to do without fail? When they do these things without fail, then ultimately the organization realizes its long-term vision. So tease out what those things are, and then they go in column A. Column B is the identification of the values. And actually at the top, go ahead and state, let's have a leg up, go ahead and state what the mission, vision, and values of your organization are. And then in column B, you're teasing out per activity, per evidence-based practice, per consistent process that you have in your organization, doing this process and doing it well aligns with which value? That's column B. Then column C is have a conversation and go deeper into how upholding this process and living this value that it's tied to connects how to your vision and or mission. So all of this circulates together, and then ultimately you'd find yourself in a position where now you're able to recognize those efforts, and in that recognition, you're tying that recognition back to the value that the individual is upholding. So see how it all goes full circle, and the more that you positively reinforce that connection, and that the person is now contributing, and you're connecting them to the purpose of their role, and now they're contributing to the mission and vision. The more you positively reinforce that, the more it happens. So that's a, let's say, tip, and it's also a resource for you that's available at thrivingleadercollaborative.com. Absolutely invite you to make it your own, put your own processes, evidence-based practices, what have you, in that first column, and then you'll know how to take it from there. Thanks for tuning in.